Good morning, welcome to EduSec Network. Sorry. Friend, as you know, today we are going to discuss a very special and interesting topic, media economics. We all know media in the olden days it was considered a mission, but now some people are not taking it as a mission, but it has gone through mission to profession. Then now people are selling a product, it's as a product. Either it's a newspaper or the news bulletin, it's considering as a product. So naturally it has its market, its different dynamics of economics. So we'll try to understand the different aspect of the media and its economics, and we'll come to know how the media function, how does it have impact on our life, and how it gets stemming from a different. So we'll try to understand different aspects of the media economics, and for discussion on this great topic, we have in the studio an eminent media person, Professor C.P. Singh. He's an educator, author, researcher with over 21 year experience. He has about more than 100 research paper, articles, and reviews and new script for the channels, and he has written article for the newspapers, journals, magazines. So he has done a lot of work on this area, and apart from this, he also published a number of books of diverse nature. For television, he has written a handbook. The name is Before the Headlines, a handbook of television journalism. And for website, he has written news on the web, news for the web, in the making news, edited by Uday Sahai. And he has been also the member of the core team, Discovery Channel Hindi style book. He has written another book, Dictionary of Media and Journalism. And one more book I would like to say that was very popular when this century started in 2000, how the technology we used, and the name was of the magazine, that was Australian magazine, but in MIS, a Stargazer. So it was a great contribution to him. He analyzed the different pattern of the technology being used at that time. And Dr. Singh has also been invited from the different national and international forum, and he has been part of the seminar and symposia and delivered a number of articles regarding the media issues, and his contribution has been appreciated world over. And he's quite active on the different media forum like European Communication Research and Education Association. The other he's member of the other international organization is the name International Association for Media and Communication Research. And his area of specialization is media economics, communication of innovation, media education models. So he has done a lot of work in the field of mass communication and journalism. So certainly his wide experience and vast knowledge will give us insight to understand this topic, the difficult topic. Of course, media economics is not easy to understand. So we'll gain the guidance and the direction how to approach this topic and how to study this topic, media economics. So on my behalf, I welcome him for EduSec lecture on this topic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Aminenderji. Dear friends, in the last lecture we had some discussion on the basics of media economics. Today we will have a recap of what we discussed in the last lecture, and then we will move on and try to understand the significance of studying media economics, and also certain issues that are facing this domain of media economics, and how eclectic this domain is, and how people from different domains like political science, sociology, economics, psychology, and also certain technological experts have put their foot in and have made valuable contributions to the field. till date, the study of media has been dominated by the non-economic disciplines such as political science, sociology or psychology, and till date also it continues to be dominated by these disciplines, but at the same time media industry has undergone tremendous change. This change is both in terms of the size as well as the quality of content, the diversity of content. This has demanded an in-depth study of the financial aspects of the media industry, the different firms, different sectors within the broad industrial domain, and no wonder now there is a shift of focus from the mere socio-psychological, political perspectives to the economic perspective, because every decision in the ultimate has got economic underpinnings, it has got some financial implications, and whether it is the private sector that has the ownership of the media units or the public sector, funds are important, the resources, the revenue generated are important, and it is in this sense that the economic study of media has become important. And to start with, if we have to look at this domain, we would like to define what media economics is. And broadly, in layman's terms, it could be the application of the basic economic principles to the study of the different functions, activities of media firms, both individually as well as collectively. To start with, it is imperative to mention that the body of literature that we have in the domain of media economics is dominated by the microeconomics. When we say microeconomics, we mean the study of individual firms, individual markets, and also they develop the tools of analysis to make certain predictions. However, the macroeconomic aspects of media do not have much of literature, and the researchers need to pay attention to it. Similarly, the regulatory framework and the policy framework that have a lot of impact on the society, on the firms, and the interplay of all this also need special attention of the students, scholars, researchers. Now we will move on to some of the basics of what media economics is. In this discussion, we would like to address what a media firm is, what are the different motivations, what are the questions that the media economics seeks to answer, different types of market structures that exist, what is so special about the economics of media, identify and explain some of the key economic characteristics of media. This will help us move ahead. Media economics would, in general terms, not be different from the general economics. However, the need of studying media economics has been felt because during the last 50, 60 years at the global level, and 25, 30 years at the national level, that is in the context of India, media industry has registered tremendous expansion. From one television channel till 80s, today we have got more than 500 channels. That is in the news domain only. If you add all the entertainment and the news channels, possibly it will be close to 1,000. That represents the diversity of the audiences, that represents the diversity of the society, and also in a sense the political economy and the needs, the informational needs of the society in transition, that on the one hand has got in its ambit 30 crore strong middle class, which is equivalent to the population of the US. On the other, there are more than 50 crore people who could be living below the poverty line. That is a challenge that not only the media industry is faced with, but also the study of media economics has to grapple with at different stages of its development. As most of the firms in the private domain or elsewhere have the profit as their main motive, in the media industries too their motive is profit, but there could be other models where the profit is not the motive. The social cost, the benefit analysis or perspective is the motive, as it happens in the case of the public service broadcasters. For example, Doordarshan and All India Radio, their concern is not to maximize the profits in the short term, but maximize or optimize the social gains in the long run. That is possible when they start responding to the informational needs, the content needs of the society at large, and they would also respond to the needs of the audiences, the section of the people who do not have enough money to buy the newspaper, to buy a television set, or have the cable connection or the DTH connection. That is the social objective, and here the maximization of profit will not be the concern. Nevertheless, understanding of the audiences, understanding of the markets, and the psychographic and the demographic characteristics of the market would be equally important, though the profit maximization may not be the objective. Moving ahead, what is so special about the economics of the media and the key characteristics? You may remember in the last discussion we have discussed what economics is all about, what media economics is, what microeconomics is, what macroeconomics is, and how in a liberal market framework the invisible hands of demand and supply would take care of most of the needs. However, for the sake of a recap, I'll try to repeat. Economics is the branch of social science that studies the optimal use of scarce resources. Scarce because the resources at any given point of time are limited and the wants are unlimited. And media economics would be the optimum use of the media resources, the media talent, and the other resources. It could be labor, capital, land, all put together for the optimum production of the optimum quality of the content for its stakeholders, both to the audiences as well as the advertisers. The microeconomics is that branch of economics which studies individual units, a firm, a company, or a particular market, how do they operate, what is the structure of the market, are there barriers to the entry, is one particular firm so powerful to determine the price, etc. The macroeconomics is the aggregate study, how the employment is affected, how the prices are affected, and we presume when we study media economics that we are studying the economics in a capitalist liberal market framework where the demand and supply take care of most of the distributional and the consumption aspects. Concentration ratio is one aspect which is very helpful in studying the media economics. That tells us that how the revenues, or in this case maybe how the audiences and revenues put together, are shared by individual or a group of media firms. Suppose there are 4 firms that are having almost 50% of the audience share, or there are 8 firms that are having 75% of the market share or the audience share, then it is said that the market is highly concentrated. However, this concentration ratio does not tell us properly what is the kind of the distribution of that 50% between those 4 firms. Maybe one particular firm is having 40% of the audience share and rest of the 3 firms are having just 10%, and another 4% could be having even less. We could have another kind of tool or method to measure the concentration that is known as HH index, that takes care of the distributional aspect of the share of the audience or the revenue amongst the media firms. Other element is economics of scope. This is a very unique concept that tells us that how, without changing much, you are in a position to engage in the multi-product manufacturing scenario or production or generation scenario. One media firm would operate not only, say, in the newspaper market, but it will have its presence in the internet market. That is, Times of India newspaper would have its own website, and it would have a very different model. And the same reporter who is collecting the content for the newspaper would be working for the website, or the same content can also be repackaged for the magazine, or the same content can be repackaged and repurposed for the radio that is run by the Times of India group. That is the economics of scope, which is not so overwhelming in terms of its presence in other sectors. Marginal reproduction and distribution, it is very, in its impact, quite interesting with regard to the media domain. For example, if you produce a film, once the copy is ready, the final copy is ready, the cost of having another copy is almost negligible. So, if you are having more and more audiences, you have to cater to the more and more audiences, more and more theaters, cinema halls. The cost of additional copy of the film is negligible, and the marginal reproduction cost is almost negligible or zero. That leads to diminishing marginal costs and increasing marginal returns in a big way in the media industry. However, the law of diminishing marginal utility does apply in the context of the users of media. As you know that if you are thirsty and you have the first glass of water, you may feel satiated and you may feel like having more glass of water. But as you have more and more glass of water, your desire to have the additional glass of water decreases significantly, and that is known as the law of diminishing marginal utility. That we have already discussed, that is profit maximization and the market structures. Market structures could be profit competition, the monopolistic competition, oligopoly. However, we will very briefly go through them. The profit competition is a scenario where the number of buyers of a product or the number of sellers are immense. They are immense to such an extent that no single buyer or no single seller can impact the price. In a monopoly, as you have in the case of Indian Railways, there is a single seller and many buyers, and the seller has got all the capacity, all the potential to impact the price the way he or she wishes. In a monopolistic competition, you have got many sellers, yet their power to impact the price is not insignificant. To some extent they can impact the prices, and their products are similar. That is, to some extent there is a kind of differentiation available, and in the oligopoly there would be few firms, maybe 3 to 5 to 6, and their capacity to influence the price, influence the market structure, create barriers to the entry is significant next only to the monopoly where there is a single seller. Now we come to the unique features of media. That is what leads to the study of media economics. Number one characteristic is the dual market, where we have audience of the content is both as a user as well as a product. We can understand it through an example. In a television channel, you watch a program. When you watch a program, you are part of the audience, you are the user. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is when the television channel approaches an advertiser and tells him, look, this particular program of ours at say 9 p.m. is watched by 1 lakh people, and out of 1 lakh people, 50,000 people have got their annual income ranging from 5 lakh to 10 lakh. So you can advertise your costly products at 9 p.m. program, on the 9 p.m. program. That is like selling the audiences, the characteristics of the audiences, the demographics of the audiences to the advertisers. So the television channel is generating 2 products, if you wish to say it so. One is the television program, and the other is the audience which watches it, and at the same time that number of the audience is sold to the advertisers. That is why we call it that the media industry operates in a dual market scenario. However, there are other unique features. The other unique features are that the media products are not used up, they are not dried up, they are not used once and for all. As I consume this glass of water, the same water cannot be used again and again. I can watch television program again and again. I can watch a movie again and again. I can listen to the movie again and again. I can watch a news program recorded again and again. And this does not cost much to the producers, to the channel. The value of it lies in its meaning. And they are not consumable in the sense the other products are consumable. So they are not consumed in the pure sense of the term or the original sense of the term. At the same time, they are not scarce. They are not scarce. That product or service is not scarce. Once a film is made, it doesn't cost much to reproduce it. In that sense, it is not scarce. And the concept of scarcity says that once you are producing more of a commodity, more of a service, you have to reduce the production of the other commodity. In this case, it doesn't hold good. So the concept of both consumable or consumability and scarcity do not apply to media industry in any way they do to the other industries and other sectors. Reason, they are intangible. They impact your mind and they are not destroyed. They don't get used up. When you study media, you face many difficulties by way of finding proper definition of an unit. How will you define an unit? Whether it is a newspaper, an article in a newspaper, report a story in a newspaper, or the newspaper itself. The same yardstick would apply to the television channel or radio channel or website. How will you define a particular unit? We have already discussed right in the beginning that profit maximization may be the goal of most of the producers, most of the sellers or service providers in media, but some of them may not have the public influence influencing the opinion of the people, the audiences, the voters could be the major objective. Whenever you buy a service or a product, you pay for it. When you pay for it, it goes directly to the one who is selling to you that product or service. And that is how the relationship between the buyer and seller is defined. And that is how the demand and supply operate, the invisible hands of the market. As we have discussed, that media industry operates in a dual market scenario. Advertising plays a major role. An average newspaper will have maybe a 40-page newspaper would have its cost of production, the average cost of production, maybe 40 to 50 rupees. But you as a reader are paying hardly 5 rupees or 3 rupees. So rest of the 45 rupees plus the margins are taken care of by the advertisers. So the kind of relationship that you see in other industries between the buyers and the sellers may not be available here. That is the preferences of the audience, the preferences of the listeners, or the television watchers, newspaper readers, radio listeners, may not be reflected in the programs or the newspaper, the manner in which the preferences of a consumer are reflected when you are going to buy a car, when you are going to buy a pen, when you are going to buy a house, when you are going to buy a table. That is the direct relationship of that is mediated through the market. Price is not dominant or available in a manner that is in the other products and services. As we have discussed already, that you can have more of one product without the less of others by just reallocation in a television channel or in a newspaper. without having less of any other story or the kind of story that you want to have. You can reallocate the deployment of your reporters or the sub-editors or story writers, feature writers, and you can have more of these stories. That since this is a matter of idea, this is a matter of intellectual production, the rules of the other products and services do not apply in the same manner. The marginal cost, as we have seen, decreases. It happens in most of the industries. But the manner in which, the degree to which the marginal cost decreases in the media industry is significant for the simple reason that the reproduction of one program or the same kind of package or content of film or music video is almost negligible. And with the coming of the internet and mobile, this cost has gone down drastically, and that leads to the increasing marginal returns. So if you have to operate in an additional market, in a separate market, the cost of addressing additional 2 lakh audiences or even 10 lakh audiences, 1 million audiences is almost negligible. However, the carriage cost would be significant in case of television, not in the case of website or the internet. The other element is that is increasing returns to scale because of ever-present almost negligible marginal cost. When you engage in any kind of production at a significant level, the marginal cost is lower than the average cost, and that is what leads to the economies of scale. But in media, it is a much larger level. But if you put it in a reverse manner, suppose your audience size goes down from 10 lakh to 5 lakh, the cost does not go down at all. That is the reverse logic of it. Economics of scope that we have already discussed. One point that I would like to add here is that most of the media products or the producers are in the business of multi-product generation, and they are in the nature of public good. That is, the same product can be used again and again without losing on the utility aspect of it, without losing on the value aspect of it. That is so much about the discussion today. Now I am open to questions, and I will be very glad to have questions both from our anchor, Mr. Amarinder Kumar, and from the audience.
Yeah, we will talk about the media and economics, but before that we'd like to tell the viewers that nowadays it's media economics previously, because interdisciplinary approach are being adopted for the study of any subject. So media economics, then media management, media sociology, and other more terms are coming up. So can you explain a little bit all this so that our viewers, students and new researcher get to know what he need to do, as you talked about the domain of media economics very clearly. So students have understood, but if he suppose move to the media sociology, what could be the domain?
Listen, as we pointed out in the beginning itself, that the study of media till now has broadly been dominated by the students or scholars of sociology, political science, psychology, anthropology. So in that sense, the sociology of media or the psychology of media, or to some extent the political economy of media, politics of media, are not unknown to the students of social science, because they are the disciplines which have actually given birth to media as a discipline, media as an interdisciplinary
Any
discipline.
theory like that, political
Yes.
economic theory, dominant trend
And
theory.
the theories of communication and the media theories are almost without exception taken from these disciplines that we have discussed: sociology, political science, and psychology. So, and most of the researches over the last 60 years have been, for example, if you go to JNU, the Center for the Study in Social Systems would be conducting research on the sociological aspects of it. What are the
Media
the
supply.
effect, what are the impact, the social impact of the certain kind of television programming, or what is the impact of television post-liberalization, that is after 1991, Indian economy opened itself up and there was a television boom, and after the television boom there was proliferation in programming, all kinds of contents permeated the Indian market, Indian footprints, and what impact it had on the, for example, children, the violent behavior of the children, what kind of impact it has on the promiscuous behavior of the audiences, or what kind of impact it has on the relationship in the family between wife and husband, between the parents and children. All such kinds of studies that pertain to sociology or society and the human behavior, that is particularly psychology here, have already been conducted, for the simple reason that these are the disciplines which have actually given rise to media studies. And invariably we will find in Europe particularly that the Department of Sociology, Department of Political Science or Cultural Studies would also be having programs on media or media studies. It is only for the last 25 or 30 years, and particularly in the US and now in other parts of Western Europe, that media studies departments, centers or schools are on their own. They started, raised independent of the other disciplines, not in terms of their study, not in terms of their scope, but in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of the systems that they build up for the promotion of the disciplines. In that sense, media studies owes a lot, is indebted to sociology, indebted to political science, indebted to psychology, anthropology or public administration in a big way.
Okay. So, sorry, when we compare the media sociology and media economics is a new concept and new coming up. So, can you tell about the viewers and the new researchers, what work has so far been done and what new area that need to be explored?
I thank you for this, because this is something which helps us understand the very significance of the media economics as a subject. The economic aspects of media are not new to be studied. In 1950s or 60s, there were around 150 or more articles pertaining to the financial or the economic aspects of media, because in Europe media started expanding immediately after the Second World War, and the economic and financial aspects were also studied. However, it was only in 1989, if I remember correctly, that the first journal of media economics was started. Earlier it was twice in a year, and then it became thrice in a year, and now it is quarterly journal of media economics, that was started by Picard. And later on, the discipline was enriched by many other scholars, and the seminal contribution has been made next only to Picard by Ilan Al-Baran. And there are other scholars, scores of other scholars who are contributing to the domain. However, it needs to be understood that media industry being unique in its features, it is not possible to apply the dominant concepts of economics in toto. or the way they are. For the simple reason that these concepts of microeconomics, macroeconomics,
And because of also
demand and
nature
supply, pricing, scarcity, all such things have been developed based on our experience of other kinds of products and services. Most of the products that you can touch and feel, and most of the products that do not impact your mind, impact your thinking. So these concepts are not dated, but they need to be revised to better understand the products and services that are provided by the media industry. It is also important to note here that the work that has been done in media economics is usually or mostly in the domain of microeconomics. When we say microeconomics, we mean that the media firms have been studied, their behavior has been studied. The individual market, say television market or newspaper market or radio market, has been studied. However, at the national level, in the national scenario, at the global level, at the aggregate level, the body of literature in media economics is not much. That needs a lot of attention of the research scholars.
Okay. At the same time, I would also like to understand if we study the economics part of the media, do we have some another heuristic from the Western, so we need to follow the same?
As we have discussed, the first Journal of Media Economics was started in 1989, and it did happen elsewhere in the Western world. We have benefited from the tools that they are developing. But since media is very, very culture specific, media is very, very domain specific, territory specific, we will have to revise those things. We will have to improvise those concepts to suit to our needs. For example, in the domain of policy and the regulatory framework, the policy and the regulatory framework in any developing country would be significantly different from that in a developed country. We are, as a developing society, would like to take care of the segment of the audiences who don't have enough money to pay for the services, to subscribe even to a newspaper with 40 crore people who are living below the poverty line. We don't expect them to buy even a newspaper that costs them 3 rupees or 5 rupees, but they need to be informed. In a democracy, the better information you have about the society, the more informed decisions you take, and the more vibrant democracy we are. In that sense, the regulatory and the policy framework would not have to be left entirely to the forces of demand and supply. And we will have to let the government chip in, let the public sector chip in. And the social cost, the social benefit of any action, of any product, will have to be taken into account.
Okay. Having defined the media economics and understanding well what the domain of media economics and setting the boundaries, now we move to the course of media economics study in India. So how do you feel? It has been smooth, or the obstacles, or what your experience, or what do you suggest, what the obstacles it has to remove?
Listen, this is a very interesting scenario. At the outset, I must say that the field is a virgin field. The field is open, almost untouched. Untouched in the sense that we are yet to get out of the typical
Untouched
surveys or studies that are conducted by the industry bodies. And they conduct their surveys to have a feel of what the industry would be, what the market would be for the next 2 years, for the next 3 years. And they today are the source of our data, source of our information. The universities are yet to start.
Okay.
The formal courses on that. Our own university has in its program of Master in Mass Communication, in the second semester has a paper, Media Economics and Management. Elsewhere also there are few papers, all topics addressed. But as a separate discipline, as a separate course, we are yet to have it, though there is a tremendous need for it. Tremendous need because during the last 20-25 years, the media industry in India has gained a lot of momentum, and up to 2016, as per the FICCI KPMG report, that again is an industry survey report or study, the average growth is projected to be 15 to 16%. Your growth at the national level is hardly 5 to 6%, and this industry is registering 15 to 16%. That speaks volumes about the need. But at the same time, obstacles would be many. The people who are specializing in the domain of economics may not have much of interest in media. They would have their interest in typical study of the other sectors or the large domains like prices and inflation and unemployment or deflation or recession or depression of that kind.
So in a way you are saying that importance has been recognized, need has been felt. The only thing is to the warm welcome is needed to flourish this, we can say, field of the media.
Yes, the domain is ready to welcome the people from economics, the domain of economics, people from the media. They need to collaborate, and in this age of the convergence of technology, this is the age of collaboration. You will see that many Nobel Prizes today are given to a group of people. The people who have collaborated in the domain of chemistry or medicine or physics or astronomy. The same thing is required in the domain of media economics, because the students of media, the students of economics, they all need to come together, they all need to understand each other, and they need to develop their tools so that they can understand this fast expanding and convergent field.
Okay, and prepare a road to...
Prepare the roadmap for the students and the generations to follow. We are in this sense, we are facing this challenge. We are in the mode of transition, where the current generation of scholars, both economics as well as media, have to play a pioneering role to make his presence felt both in the market as well as in the academic domain. Otherwise, we will be left far, far behind.
There is apprehension that given the collaboration part you were saying, that economics will rule the rest. But the media person said, no, we should be the major player and we will decide term and condition, and accordingly economics should just help us. So do you want this to go alternative mechanism, alternative design need to be first set, then one start the working on media economics?
Sir, when you collaborate, when the two parties or more than two parties collaborate, they know their strengths and they know their weaknesses. When you feel the need of collaboration, you know your own assets. And that is why you want to have other assets that are lacking in you. So I don't think there should be something like we should dominate or which field should dominate. It would be the need that will dominate. In a particular point of time, it will be the need. For example, if the content has to be studied, the nature of the content, the quality of the content, and the impact that the content is likely to have, definitely the economic aspects will subside.
Okay.
However, if the market structure has to be studied, the barriers to the entry has to be studied, how the pricing is decided has to be studied, how the salaries to the media personnel has to be decided, the economics will dominate.
Okay, that's fine. As already discussed the cost and the margin and the profit and these are the unique features. So now we want to see those who are not having the footage in the beginning of media economics, and then they are studying the media, and those who are having. So what the three major approaches they will adopt for a study of this thing?
You see, we all have to manage our incomes in such a manner that most of our needs or wants are met. In that sense, in our individual domains, we all are economists, practitioners
Yeah.
of economics
At the individual level.
at the individual level.
Yeah.
And when you are a graduate in any discipline, first it means that you have disciplined yourself to study a domain. And you can apply certain basic principles, basic concepts of one domain to understand another domain. That is not very difficult. Anyone who is a graduate is mostly competent to understand what is economics, what are the concepts of, say, microeconomics, microeconomics, inflation, deflation, unemployment. These are not difficult things to understand once you try to do it. But that is for the students of media who may not have studied economics. And surprisingly or interestingly, you will study these concepts even at the plus 2 level. These same concepts can be slightly refined and tuned in to meet our sophisticated needs. So I don't think there is much of a problem. However, there are some books that the learners or the beginners can lay their hands on. One is Media Economics, Markets and Industries and Issues, that is by Ilan Albaran, and the Basic Concepts of Media Economics, that is by Picard. And the latest book that came out recently by Albaran is Media Economy. Media economy is mostly looking at the applied aspect of media, and those who have not studied economics previously, maybe at the grad level, they can also understand it with not so much effort.
Yeah.
That is Media Economy by Ilan Albaran. That is a recent book, and that takes care of the consolidation and the concentration, the market fragmentation aspects which are dominant these days. And of course the technological convergence. All such things have been taken care of in that book. And you can, any researcher, any scholar, any student can benefit from it. Those who have not studied economics.
Okay, so the last question I'd like to ask you, because the media management has been in practice for long years and the students are aware of it. So what could be the line different from media management to study this media economics?
Fine. Same principles would apply. The domain of management has been developed in response to the needs of the manufactured goods and services. Things that you can touch and feel of the traditional industries. That is why some of the principles of management may not apply to the understanding of media in the same measure as they do in case of other industries, other goods and services. Possibly that is the reason that some of the news professionals, some of the media professionals that came from the editorial field have become the top managers. They were not MBAs. They never went to a business school. The example could be the CEO of a Star India.
Yes.
Yeah, right? And in other sectors as well. And there are n number of examples. I don't blame the teaching of management for it. Only thing is that the domain itself is evolving. Media industries are growing fast, and it is hardly 20-25 years old as far as the expansion and the convergence is concerned. So it needs to be looked at from its own specifics, rather than imposing the concepts that we have studied till date. Not that the concepts that we have developed are useless or obsolete, no. They need to be fine-tuned. They need to be revised to the extent that is required.
Okay, so better advice is let it evolve its own way.
Yes,
Whether
it has to evolve.
Yeah, and evolving rapidly, we only need to give more pace to it so that
Yes.
it will have its own footing in the coming years. So well friends, with this word we like to conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture. On your behalf, I thank Professor C.P. Singh for giving such an insightful lecture, and very clearly with example he explained all the aspect of media economics. So again I thank you. Thank you very much.